If I seem a bit off for this review, it's because Robert Pattinson is now Batman, so I'm just... Hello friends, I'm Rorschach, back again, and today we are talking about John Wick Chapter 3. John Wick Chapter 3 has Keanu Reeves returning as his extremely popular character John Wick. We have new characters such as Halle Berry. We get to see returns of Lawrence Fishburne's character and a return of Mr. Mosby. So getting right out to bat, if you like the first two John Wicks, you're going to absolutely love this movie. This movie steps up the action and the backstory of the first two movies tenfold. I really like that we get to see more of John's backstory and actually get to learn his actual origins in this. Not a clear, but we get to actually understand where he's from and how he actually got involved with the mob. And moving on to the action in this movie is absolutely amazing. All the one-take shots, all the continued shots, moving, panning from around, grabbing stuff from side to side. Keanu Reeves in this movie using every single object he can to kill someone, the knives, guns, even a book. This movie is actually non-stop action. You'll get an action sequence, and then we'll get about 5 to 10 minutes of dialogue, and then we'll go into another action sequence. I think there's about like 4 big action scenes in this movie, and then there's a few different dialogue pieces in between. Also, this movie has dogs, and the dogs are great in this movie, and they do not die in this movie. Past criticisms I do remember of the other John Wick movies is its heavy focus on just action scenes and killing and not really telling a story, especially with the second one. The first one did have a bit more story elements, and if you felt that in the past movies, you're not going to feel any better towards this movie. While some may compare movies like Terminator to John Wick tends to do about 90% action scenes and then 10% story, while something like Terminator is about 60% dialogue and story building and then 40% action scenes. After this movie, however, I do think that John Wick should be in the talks for probably the best action trilogy ever. Currently, I kind of kept Planet of the Apes at that, but it's more of a story trilogy. But for this action trilogy-wise, John Wick has probably topped it. A few minor complaints of the movie. If you were going to this expecting closure, as in a closure in the John Wick trilogy, it is not in that way. They do build towards another movie similar to the way the second one ended. So don't expect to get closure here or be the end of John Wick's story. Also, I do notice in these John Wick movies that Keanu Reeves does not talk much in these movies, and his dialogue is very short and it's kind of awkward at points. Like, he'll usually just say like 1 or 2 things like good and just stuff like that. It's a bit weird. I also really enjoy the villain of this movie. He's not in any of the trailers, so I'm not going to show him, but he's actually really cool, and it's cool to see a villain that admires John Wick and actually hear him talk about him, even though he's going to fight him, and like see a villain excited to fight the person they're fighting. It's really cool. We also have this other kind of bad guy in the movie. This actress right here literally spends the first like half of the movie just going to every set piece and just asking to speak to the manager to each character and just saying, you're going to do this because I'm in charge, and she was just annoying. But yeah, overall, I don't really have too much else to say about John Wick. If you have set your expectations from the past 2 movies, this one will be a pleasant surprise. It does elevate on all the past elements that the past movies have had and still bring some fresh new things to the table, including absolutely mastering the action scenes that they can do in these movies. I can't think of a movie like this. It's like the Kingsman church scene, but just throughout the entire movie, basically. John Wick Chapter 3 is a 9 out of 10. And that is all I have for today. As usual, I am Dr. Rorschach. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.